GKN's been around for a long time, 250 years, and engineers kind of not do the inspirational leadership thing. They're quite logical, analytical sort of thinkers. So as for inspirational, I don't think that's really important. I think it's the way that people kind of lead and their skills. So I don't think when you go around the shop floor and you go around our sort of factories, what people want now is a different style of leader. They want someone who doesn't tell them anymore. They want to know that they're going to be supported by their leader and are supported in the problems that they've got. So I think giving leaders the skills to deal with that in a different way, sort of giving them skills around how to coach people in problem solving, how to recognise people, and also give them constructive feedback in a sort of positive way to give them a better outlook is probably more key to us than sort of their motivational sort of outlook and style. So giving them the skills to lead people better is probably one aspect that we focus on in particular. And then also understanding the way that people do the work and asking questions about that is the key aspect. And I think people value that. If leaders don't take the time out to understand that and ask questions about the work, then I think that's more motivational than anything that they can kind of say, in any sort of official communication. So we've been around a long time, and even the founder, Charlotte Guest, 250 years ago, she talked about continuous improvement then. So we've been doing continuous improvement activities for a long time. But as for sort of having a more disciplined, sort of a strategic approach to continuous improvement, then no, that's been the last 6 years since we launched our sort of lean enterprise approach, which really talks about continuous improvement and what really is that. One of the CEOs actually asked me, what do we mean by continuous improvement? Well, I think it's when you reach a state that everybody's sort of excited and passionate for improving the way that they do their work, and that's what we're trying to aim towards. Part of what our continuous improvement culture is, we talk about the flow of value. So we're redesigning our processes to support better value flow to our customers and to our shareholders ultimately. So some of the issues around that is, first of all, understanding how to do that. And then really, if you look back at the Toyota production system, when I originally got trained, probably 20 odd years ago now, they called it synchronized production. And all of that means is really looking at how the connections are in a process, how we can simplify that and problem solve around it. So most of ours, the same as any other sort of manufacturing company, is about the connections and how we can simplify it, how we can problem solve around that. So whether that's a Kanban system in a physical flow environment and moving products from one place to another, or whether that's the information flow and handoffs out of the magic computers and emails we have, things get delayed, departments hold on to data. So how can we synchronize better the process steps? And that's what we try and focus on. And by doing that, we make big improvements everywhere. We do have metrics that point out where we need to improve from. But then, we teach people the tools and techniques to look at process flow and then understand that process flow better. And I think we really start off at a very, very basic level by doing go-see exercises. And we have to go and see how the work is done. And I think that's something we lose out. We tend to sit in offices and say, oh, this is what happens. Well, we teach a go-see style. So we go and see actually how the work is done. And then from that, we sort of review, map our processes out, use the same tools and techniques, value stream mapping and many other tools to do that. Once we've identified where the waste is, then we prioritise which bits of that we're going to tackle, because we can't do everything, and that's the hardest things for leaders to determine, that is what we're not going to do versus what we are going to do in the time frame we've got. So once we've done that, then we do sort of two versions of Lean. One is sort of project-driven environments, which are sort of interventions on processes which are results orientated. We have to achieve X for a customer, X rate, or a cost reduction, or whatever it is. And then there's also the day-to-day sort of problem solving, where we want employees to flag up problems and we react and support them in solving those sort of immediately. So we have kind of two approaches towards improvement. Yeah, well, we have the same problems every organisation, and last year's crisis as well. Actually, for GKN, it gave us more of a burning platform than ever to do something different. But that is not what GKN's about. Our senior leadership, our CEO, Kevin Smith, he strongly believes in people development and giving people the skills to improve the way that they do their work. So he talks about everybody can come to work and he wants them to contribute to improve in the way that they work. So our focus is really on the long term and developing and giving people the skills at every level of the organisation to lead Lean. So actually last year's crisis has made no change to that. That vision is still there. It's part of our core strategy. What we do with continuous improvement is just about the way that we work, and we're making that transition. We've been at it 6 years now, and we're still a long way to go, but that transition is happening, and I think that the focus on value flow and what we're trying to achieve for our customers is key to that. The way that you involve people is key. And continuous improvement, people don't actually understand that word. They talk about projects and events, that's not continuous. Continuous improvement is when we're solving problems in real time, whether that's in our office or in our shop floor manufacturing. So, how do you get that culture where people can do that and are supported in that is key, and that's what I'll be talking about in the the systems that are required, the leadership skills that are required to do that. And there are certain things you have to have in place to get successful involvement in people. It just doesn't happen overnight magically. So there are systematic things and discipline that you need to put in place to make that happen. That's what we'll be doing and talking about and showing ways to do that in companies.